Hi there, how are you doing? In this video, we're gonna talk about logical fallacies. Logical fallacies are errors in reasoning that undermine the logic of an argument. They can be subtle or blatant, but recognizing them is crucial for critical thinking and effective communication. In this video, we're going to explore some of the most common logical fallacies, including post hoc, ad hominem, false dichotomy, etc. By understanding these fallacies, one can better analyze arguments and avoid flawed reasoning. Remember, whether you're writing an essay or presenting a speech, you gotta avoid logical fallacies because they can reduce the power of your argument or your grade. But let me ask my AI assistants to explain further and give you some examples.
Post hoc. The post hoc fallacy, short for post hoc ergo propter hoc, translates to after this, therefore because of this. It occurs when one assumes that because one event followed another, the first event must have caused the second. This fallacy overlooks other potential causes or factors that could have contributed to the outcome. Example: I started carrying a lucky charm, and ever since then I've had great luck in my games. This statement assumes that the charm is the cause of the good luck, ignoring other variables like skill improvement or chance.
Ad hominem. The ad hominem fallacy occurs when an argument attacks a person's character or motives instead of addressing the argument itself. This tactic diverts attention from the issue at hand and undermines rational discourse. Example: you can't trust Jane's opinion on climate change. She's not even a scientist. Instead of engaging with Jane's argument, this statement dismisses her credibility based on her background.
False dichotomy. A false dichotomy, or false dilemma, presents a situation as having only two alternatives when, in fact, there are more options available. This oversimplification can lead to poor decision-making and restricts the discussion. Example: you're either with us or against us. This statement ignores the possibility of neutral or alternative positions, forcing individuals into a binary choice.
False analogy. The false analogy fallacy occurs when an argument is based on misleading, superficial, or implausible comparisons. While analogies can be useful for clarification, they can also misrepresent the situation if the similarities are not relevant. Example: just as a car needs fuel to run, humans need to consume energy drinks to function. This analogy fails because the comparison between a mechanical object and a biological organism is flawed and oversimplifies human needs.
Slippery slope. The slippery slope fallacy suggests that a relatively small first step will inevitably lead to a chain of related events, culminating in significant and often negative consequences. This argument lacks evidence that such a progression will occur. Example: if we allow students to redo their exams, soon they will expect to retake every test, and eventually they won't take their studies seriously. This statement assumes a chain reaction without substantiating how one action will lead to the extreme outcome.
Straw man. The straw man fallacy occurs when someone misrepresents or oversimplifies an opponent's argument to make it easier to attack. This tactic avoids engaging with the actual argument and instead focuses on a distorted version of it. Example: my opponent wants to reduce military spending. Clearly, they want to leave our country defenseless. This mischaracterizes the opponent's position, making it easier to argue against a position they do not actually hold.
Circular argument. A circular argument, or begging the question, occurs when the conclusion of an argument is included in the premise. This fallacy does not provide any actual evidence or reasoning, as it simply restates the claim. Example: I believe that freedom of speech is important because people should be able to express their opinions freely. This statement does not provide a valid reason for why freedom of speech is important. It merely restates the belief.
Red herring. The red herring fallacy introduces irrelevant information into an argument to distract from the original issue. This tactic shifts the focus away from the topic at hand, leading to confusion and misdirection. Example: why worry about climate change when there are so many people living in poverty? This statement diverts attention from the discussion about climate change by introducing a different issue, rather than addressing the arguments related to environmental concerns.
Recognizing logical fallacies is essential for effective communication and critical thinking. By understanding common fallacies such as post hoc, ad hominem, false dichotomy, false analogy, slippery slope, straw man, circular argument, and red herring, individuals can engage in more rational discourse and avoid flawed reasoning. This awareness not only enhances personal arguments, but also fosters a more informed and thoughtful society.
Well, this is Lola, by the way. These are just a few examples of logical fallacies to give you an introduction. There are many more. It is estimated that there are over 100 logical fallacies, so this was just a little taste. Remember, a fallacy is not a sentence that is necessarily wrong or false. It's an idea that is presented incorrectly as an argument or a counter-argument. And before we finish, let's get a quick 1-minute summary by Hey Jen before we finish the video.
Logic is the foundation of a good argument. But sometimes we fall into traps called logical fallacies. First, post hoc. This is assuming that because one event followed another, the first must have caused the second. Ad hominem occurs when you attack the person making the argument instead of the argument itself. A false dichotomy presents only two extreme options when, in reality, many more possibilities exist. False analogy happens when you compare two things that aren't actually alike in the way being claimed. The slippery slope fallacy claims a single small step will inevitably lead to a chain of negative events. A straw man involves misrepresenting someone's argument to make it easier to attack or debunk. Circular reasoning is when the conclusion of an argument is already included in its own premise. Finally, the red herring. This introduces an irrelevant topic to distract from the original issue. Recognizing these fallacies is the first step toward clearer thinking and better debates. Master your logic.
Thank you for watching. I hope you learned a lot and see you next time.